Alright, hello everybody. It's Austin one more time for Gypsy Soul Garage. Here we are with the 390 farm truck. It's a little bit of a mod day here, and I have my Summit Racing and my cheat sheet with me, and this is just to describe kind of what we're doing today. So today we're going to be putting on a fan shroud and changing from the straight fixed fan setup. We are going from the fixed fan setup to a clutch fan setup, which Freiberger and Dulcich did on an Engine Masters on a 350 engine, I believe, and they got some pretty interesting results. The straight fan, of course, is going to use more horsepower than anything else. The clutch fan uses less horsepower, of course. The electric fan would use, or an electric fan would use, the least amount, but problem being with that, it doesn't really have the look or the style that I'm going to with this truck. So I think I'm going to keep the mechanical fan on it, but I'm going to put a clutch fan, which that's why I have my cheat sheet here, so I don't give you any wrong numbers. But the straight fan, supposedly the clutch versus the straight fan should be a addition of 12 torque and 17 horsepower at the flywheel, and the electric fan would be another 6 torque and 14 horsepower, but I'm willing to sacrifice that to keep the aesthetic. Kind of what we're going for is the old street rodder look from the 60s and 70s, but with the without the price of the shroud, so just the fan, the clutch, and the miscellaneous grade 8 bolts and stuff like that that goes along with it, comes out to be $79.71, which at the flywheel works out to be $6.64 per torque and $4.68 a horsepower. So that seems like a pretty good deal as far as power adders go, and this might help out with the single digit around town gas mileage that I've been getting. So yeah, I'm gonna start tearing into this and see what we can get done. So I think to disassemble this the littlest bit possible here, I'm going to pull the fan and pull the spacer here and the water pump pulley, try to get everything back together as a unit, put it back on, and put the shroud on, bolt that up, and then make sure everything's bolted up. So that's the plan. Let's see if all the hardware matches up, and yeah, we'll go from there. Another hindsight being 2020 thing, I've already taken the tension off of the fan, which is good because I had these already broken from kind of checking everything yesterday, but this could suck if these were rusted on here or needed any more help, but looks like we're all right. Unlike a lot of cars and trucks I've worked on in the past, this one has just enough room to get everywhere you need to, and just enough room to make it still a little awkward. So what I realized yesterday is if I were just to try to pull this unit off as a front nose piece and just the fan in the front of the nose, it wouldn't work because these bolts going into the water pump are so long that I would just end up ramming them into the radiator trying to get everything out. But then I had an epiphany last night while having dinner that I could just pull everything and hopefully get everything from the hardware store that I need, and that will be good enough to plan this out. I hope I got the thread pitches right. I did double up on some of the bolts, so can make sure that I had at least some backups. Don't want to make another trip today, but might have to. So theoretically, this all comes out as one unit. Okay. Alright, so the fan clutch, because it is a kind of universal piece, comes with this brass slider that goes over the nose of the water pump and pulley, trying to keep the water pump generally lined up on those bolt holes. Looks like I'm pretty darn close. So this will go on the water pump when that time comes, but I just want to see how good this will fit. So this is about what I was expecting. There's about 1.5 inches more of clearance than I want. But since I'm putting the shroud on, I'm going to run it for a little bit like this. And there were, let me try to explain this. There's, the radiator's bolted to the radiator support, and all it has is little foam spacers in the middle of it. And there are guys that are talking about just literally putting spacers in between the radiator support and the radiator and spacing it inwards towards the motor, which to me sounds baffling because you want as much space as possible. There are a lot of different spacers out there for fans to space them in and out. So what I'm going to do today is bolt this up and take some exact measurements and see where we want the fan to sit on the shroud, because about 3 inches around, oh my goodness, that's how tired I am today. 3/4 of an inch all the way around, that'll keep it from getting gacked at any point, and usually about halfway, give or take 1/4 of an inch towards the rear of the engine is kind of the leeway. So I'm gonna go get the fan shroud, set that off to the side, and then I could probably just bolt this in and bolt the fan shroud in. That'd be funny to see. Or I could put it in the right way. Left, rear, top, bottom. What? How dare you? Well, hello there, Gypsy. Hold on. Oliver, can you be cool, honey bunny? know what? Just from eyeballing this is not going to be that bad. I'll probably need 3/4 of an inch of space, which right now, where we are, it's not a big deal because it's not going to get very hot around here. I am still going to push this off to the side. I'm not going to be that cocky and bolted up yet because I want to get all the light that I can on this pulley. All right. That's a good idea. There, I have a hat. Instead of messing with my hair all afternoon, just wear a hat. Okay. So let's do some grade 8 bolts here. Alright, so looks like one part of my math went correctly. These are 5/16 coarse grade 8 bolts with lock washers. I've heard a lot of people complain that they've seen all this stuff come apart and go rocketing through hoods and rocketing through radiators. So I'm taking the double and triple sure that we're going to be all good here, and these are going to be grade 8 hardware with a little bit of blue Loctite on it. Hopefully that'll prevent grenadation. Alright, tech tip of the moment. I always get the Loctite that comes in kind of a chapstick. You can just kind of rub it on. The hardware store that I went to didn't have it, so I bought the tube. I'm an adult, I can handle it. No, it's not my style, and I got it all over my knife, I got it all over my toolbox, I got it all over the new parts that we're assembling. So if you're used to something, spend the extra few minutes, go do what you're used to. Alright, so Loctite grade 8, that's ready to go. That hood hinge, woof, more little bumps on my head. Well, and double checking the old bolts. They were good grade bolts. They are fine thread, they are 5/16, so it looks like we might actually be in business here. I mean, maybe. It's all those simple questions that I wish I could ask an old timer sitting at a gas station in Muncie, Indiana from 1968. Ask him how he would have done this. Had him laugh at me, put his cigarette out, and then actually tell me the answer. Because right now, I know that I'm dead on because I bolt started. So maybe if I keep this nose collar on, don't touch it too much, and just set at least one of these bolts. Twist. Everybody stop twisting. too easy. Whoa. Now, you'll notice all the tools that I'm using are hand tools. Well, because Gypsy sold Garage. Because I wanted to do this with a cheap tool set that you would be able to do before you went cruising on a Friday night. This is stuff that could be done right before game time. That's our audio dog Oliver. You can hear him barking. Oliver, what are you protecting us from now? But one highlight to using this liquid thread locker is I can get the bolts started, then just put my little dabber on there and finish them off without having to get all gummy like I normally would. Still not sold on it though, but it does have a certain application, I guess. And this is a tip that took me a long time to learn, but there really is no substitute finding a hardware store that's actually a hardware store. So all the different fasteners and just how having a good selection, it made this a one-trip event, because I was able to know the thread depth on the water pump pulley. I was able to know the thread depth on the clutch. I mean, it was really easy to walk in and go, I need that grade 8, I need that grade 8. The bolts that are going to be holding on the shroud are going to be grade 5, and that was really super easy. So just having a hardware store that's an actual hardware store is very nifty. Bolting everything up, I'm focusing on this air cleaner and just all the different PCV hoses going back into it. This thing will probably breathe a lot better if I don't have oil blowback going into it, so I think that might be next on the to-do list. I will admit right here that a set of ratcheting ratcheting wrenches would be really nifty and really choice, but I don't have those because I'm living some weird 60s post high school dream out, I guess, on this build. So I don't know how far we are in on this. I mean, there was lunch. You know what? It's almost tacos and beer time once we get this done. Just need to figure out what size spacer we need and what size we're going to space it from. But for me, it looks pretty good. It's going to be probably about 3/4 of an inch one way or the other. Or maybe some in column A, some in column B, bring it from the engine side and the radiator side, who knows. Okay, I take everything back that I said about liquid thread lock. That's kind of cool. I was able to toss everything on and Oliver, my goodness. Now, if memory serves, the original hardware that held on the radiator shroud was kind of like a square nut, and they made it easier to take on and off, which I don't mind, I don't hate it, but well, there's an oversight. I mean, this is the smallest oversight of all time, but it's still an oversight. So, got a super thin threaded fastener, because saying nut anymore is not politically correct. So, threaded fastener, super thin on this side, super thick on that side. So, oh well, that was me just going a little quicker towards the end of my hardware store trip, and I wasn't paying attention so well. But this thinner threaded fastener will give me an opportunity to get my finger kind of behind here and zip it on a little easier. So that might be a small blessing in disguise. Get in there. Just go. Good one, Ace Man. Flippin' A, I've been talking about. It's the things you talk about doing that you never do that end up biting you. Like me saying that I'm going to cut down my battery hold down straps to a proper length so they don't buzz me in the arm while I'm working. And put the alternator right back in the mark that I scribed for it before. Hello. All right. Okay, the belt is back on where we want it, where we need it. So that should put enough tension on the fan pulley, or pardon me, the water pump pulley and the fan pulley to be able to cinch these down and torque them to a spec. So by pushing your free hand down on the pulley, you can get a little bit more frictional grab there and stop the fan from turning. And then when you want to twist it, just twist away without holding on to it, and then give your next bolt just a little giddy up. All right, so Just to double check. All right. Yeehaw. So I do agree that the fan is sitting about 2 fingers out of the shroud than I would want it, but that's closer than I had before on the shroud. And I have a shroud now. Alright, well, just to double check on the systems that we touched. Electrical systems back in, alternators tight, bolts to the water pump pulley tight, Loctited to the fan and the clutch, Loctited and tight, and all the hardware for the fan shroud tight. Fire in the hole. Episode of Gypsy Soul Garage. Today, you saw us go from this heinous piece of outdated technology to a less heinous, less outdated piece of technology. But we have quiet operation, yeah, and for less than $5 a horsepower and $6 a torque, 5 hand tools and a little bit of Loctite, a little bit of pre-planning, and about an hour's worth of your time, you can be down the road, which is, I think, where I need to take this guy. Until next time, see ya.